And welcome back. You're listening to Home Wizards, where we love to help you improve your home and improve your life. I'm Cindy Dole.
Hey, I'm Eric Stromer.
And improving your life also means improving your garden, or at least improving what you consider to be your garden. Maybe it's a patio, maybe it's a balcony, maybe it's just a windowsill, or maybe it's you have a lawn or a yard of some kind. But there's a bunch of trends and things that we hope that you will try in this new year, taking a look at what's been popular for the past year in terms of the plants to try, the layout, the design, things like that, right?
Yeah, you bet. What's the number one thing you think is trending?
Well, so, I mean, over the past year, there's a bunch of ideas and a bunch of things. Of course, this past year has been the year of edibles still, the year for wildlife, but also the year for gray water and how to get the flower bed just right. And so these are some trends that we're going to be seeing for the upcoming year. So number one, we've talked about this, grow your own cocktail garden. A lot of gardeners are not only thinking of growing food, but growing certain, fruits, herbs, things that you can use not only in a cocktail, but maybe, in your salad, etc.
That's kind of great.
Yeah. And so it's something that now you are not only going to eat, but maybe it's something that you can drink.
For example, you could do the tomatoes and you could do the basil, and that could be your Bloody Mary garden.
Love that idea.
How about that for fresh tomato juice, a little basil, and some vodka?
You could do that. You could also, you could have something like a lavender martini. You could grow a few sprigs of lavender, and you would maybe even a lemon, and then you could have the lemon peel, with that. And it's very much a Mediterranean garden. All of these different cocktail garden types. It's very much what they did, in Roman times. It's healing. It's these are herbs and things that are also going to be great garden pollinators to attract, bees and such. But it's a good garnish for a food or a drink. So lavender is one of the easiest to grow. So be thinking of that.
No, that sounds great. Lavender martini with a little sprig of lavender and a rind of a lemon.
Yeah, very refreshing.
By the way, my lemon tree it looks like a joke tree.
Really? It's good?
I've got like 5,000 lemons on it,
great.
and they're all perfectly ripe and ready to go right now.
That's lovely. That's
a lot of martinis in my future.
Well, I love it.
Yeah.
Now, how about this? This is something that was very big in 2014 and is going to continue to be big, and that is to design a garden for native bees. Now, bees are our friends, right? We love bees. We need bees, and the good news is the bee population is getting better. There was a time where there was some real concerns, but now we want to help them thrive in your own garden. We're not talking about the bees that are going to be African bees that are going to attack you. These are bees that just want to sit there and pollinate, right?
Yep.
And so you can grow a garden that's going to be good for bees and be good for everybody. So the thing is, you can go online, and there's all different kinds of tips, but how about, doing something as easy as, creating like a little, an area for the mason bee by letting them lay an egg in an area where they're safe. Let's say you have a little shelter. You can create a little shelter for them, right? You can add some constructed habitats, like a bumblebee house. You can go to a website called Bumble Boosters, and you can place this little thing covered in brush or mounted off the ground. Or you could even use a couple of PVC pipes as a tunnel, and this is going, off by a dead tree, and that's going to help these bees feel good.
So the bees love the little tubular environments, little shelter area.
You can also plant native plants that are designed for native bees. There's certain, you can go online, you can see there's certain flowers that really will attract these bees. And why not do this in your own area? It's going to help them.
Well, it's going to make your garden thrive.
It's going to make your garden thrive.
Do it.
I know. So this is, it's all about nature and about helping them be happy with their habitat. So be thinking not only about the beauty of your yard, but for bees. Another really great big trend that we're seeing is to farm your parking strip. Now, this sounds kind of crazy, but a lot of people have a dream of transforming, maybe it's a very barren, lawn-filled parking strip that might be just in front of you. Like, let's say it's a neighborhood, and right in front of you there's a sidewalk, but then there's like this parking strip.
Sure.
And you can get together with the neighbors and turn that into raised beds and bird baths and pollinator beds to
it
attract.
becomes another patio. It's actually a beautiful architectural detail in between two houses rather than a driveway and a car. have a lovely little garden.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty.
They did this in Seattle. It's been a very popular thing. But you check with your city hall. Not everyone might like having these parking strip farms, but it can really turn any boring area that's all concrete into an edible garden that now becomes like this community haven.
That's
right?
That's a great idea, I think.
So another big trend that we've seen last year, and we'll see it this year, is creating a garden for butterflies.
Yeah.
And monarch populations have seen record lows. And so there are certain flowers and plants, one of them being the milkweed. Have you ever seen the milkweed?
Yes, the milkweed's amazing.
They aren't really that pretty of a plant.
But what you get in the trade-off are just ton of butterflies.
You get the butterflies, and that's where it does its metamorphosis. That's where these butterflies, that's their food. They love this, and then that's where they hang out, and they become a caterpillar, and they go through the whole process again. And you can basically grow your own garden to attract monarchs. How cool is that?
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. So that is a very big trend that we saw last year and we'll be seeing this year as well. How about this? Helping honeybees in your city.
Yeah. Bring them.
Another critical component to pollinating the food chain. And so you basically you can contact local neighborhood watch groups, and they do a lot of research to make sure that even in the city, that there are hives to accommodate thousands of honeybees and to help them produce more honey and survive the winter better than in other parts. So you want to
create like bee boxes and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a great idea. So and then you get the byproduct of honey.
You do.
Yeah.
Growing edibles in containers, that's something that has been very huge this past year and many years, and we'll continue to see it in this next year. But there's a bunch of really easy edibles to consider because, you might go, well, I don't know. I know I like tomatoes, but am I going to be able to do this? All I have is a patio or apartment. Well, for number one, don't go there. Herbs thrive in containers. So be thinking of things like oregano, parsley, sage,
peppers, the mini zucchinis and eggplants are all happening now. A lot of these growers are
miniaturizing,
creating things for the urban garden.
Yeah, so it isn't overwhelming.
Right.
Salad greens are a great choice for containers. A lot of them have shallow roots. And so your container could be something as simple as a little old wagon. And you only need a pot that's about 6 inches deep to have lettuce and microgreens. Things like that. How about strawberries? One of the pleasures of growing strawberries in a container is the sight of the berries kind of cascading over. You could even get one of those strawberry containers, which looks like, it has these little pockets. It looks like an urn, and it has these little pockets on the sides.
Very pretty.
And that's where you could, kind of tuck in your strawberries. Yes, peppers. Yes, tomatoes. What about eggplant? That's often overlooked, but it's a great edible in a container.
And delicious.
Or potatoes.
What about my eggplant parmesan?
Oh,
I don't know if I can grow enough, though, in the miniature container.
Yeah. Are you into potatoes?
Yeah.
Well, you could grow potatoes in a container. I mean, it's very simple. Rather than burying potatoes, to that desired final depth, you'll need to plant them at least a fairly shallow depth, and then you add a little soil mix on top, and you place them in a barrel, let's say, and it makes it all super easy. And you'll have a leafy green plant with light-colored flowers, so it looks pretty on top of all that.
Fantastic. The potato plant's really actually kind of pretty, isn't it?
And then just to rival your citrus, your lemon, we could grow lemon in a container.
Yeah.
In fact, if you live in a cold winter climate, doesn't mean you can't grow your own lemons, limes, and kumquats. You may not end up with Florida-size kumquats, but you can have a smaller variety in a container. In fact, you can even bring it indoors during the winter.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
As long as you have, 18 inches or so of space, and you want to have at least some sunlight.
Great.
So those are some of the trends that we're seeing that we're going to be continuing to observe in terms of what to try for your garden. Make sure you get the herbs. Make sure you also design a colorful flower bed. This is really popular because people want to have something that's going to, kind of be right in that one area, and it's a burst of color.
Right. Fantastic. By the way, back to this gray water thing, it's such a good idea because, all the runoff from your roof and your gutters that normally would just kind of go out into the street, if you can divert it into these garden beds, it's really helping with watering and also the environment, not using too much water. So
And
great idea.
and native plants. Make sure you find, this is a big trend for the 2015, find the right native plants that are native to your area, because it's going to mean not only that it'll be beneficial to wildlife, because that's what nature intended, but you won't have as much work involved. This is what, doesn't require as much water, much effort, stress-free, low maintenance.
Plants that are supposed to be there.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
All those things watch for 2013. And rethink how much you use all that mulch, right? So much that it has become almost a design element to its own. You can really have a thriving garden with beautiful mulch. Anyway, Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, we have more fun things for you as always, whereas we love to improve your home and improve your life.